I am Ibrahim Traoré, and someone wants me dead. What started as suspicious drone attacks on my people has uncovered a web of international conspiracy reaching the highest levels of Brazilian government. With assassinated advisors, intercepted uranium shipments, and documents written in Portuguese, I'm racing against time to expose the truth before the Atlantic Consortium destroys the Sahel. This is my story, told in my own words, of how I discovered that some battles require more than bullets. The blood was still warm when I arrived in Gorom-Gorom. 47 bodies. 47 reasons why I'm recording this message for you. President Lula. You see, when drones manufactured in your country tear apart sleeping children, I don't send diplomatic letters. I send warnings. My name is Ibrahim Traoré. I'm 37 years old, and I've been running Burkina Faso since I overthrew the government in 2022. Not for power, for survival. Because while you shake hands with Western leaders in air-conditioned rooms, my people die from weapons that shouldn't exist in our desert. Let me paint you a picture of what your security equipment looks like when it's used against African villages. Fatima, 8 years old, was sleeping next to her grandmother when the first drone struck their hut. I held her lifeless body, Lula. I felt her blood on my hands while Brazilian-made fragments glittered in the ashes. You want to know how I know it was Brazilian? Because I spent 3 years studying geology before politics chose me. I know metal signatures. I know supply chains. And I know when someone is lying to my face. The fragment I pulled from that destroyed home had markings. Fabricado, no Brazil. Made in Brazil. Not some Chinese knockoff. Not Russian surplus. Brazilian precision engineering. Used to murder children in their sleep. But here's what really keeps me awake at night. This wasn't random. Someone planned this. Someone wanted to send me a message after my first warning to you went unanswered. Someone thought dead children would make me back down. They were wrong. 2 weeks ago, my most trusted advisor handed me a pen drive before he was found suicided in his quarters. Portuguese documents, Lula, bank transfers, shipping routes, communications between Brazilian officials, and something called the Atlantic Consortium. I'm not accusing you directly yet, but someone in your government is playing with African lives like chess pieces. And if you don't clean your house, I will burn it down for you. The Sahel is burning, President Lula, and the fire is spreading faster than your diplomats can contain it. Her name was Sofia Mendes, and she was running for her life when she knocked on my door. May 2025, 3 months after Gorom-Gorom. I was in my office in Ouagadougou when my security chief Musa brought her in. Former Brazilian intelligence officer, he said. Defector. She had information about the drone attacks. President Traoré, she said in accented French, her hands shaking as she placed a tablet on my desk. I can't sleep anymore. Not after what I've seen. Sofia told me about a company called Traoré, Brazilian military contractors officially supplying your government with security solutions. Clean contracts, clean money, clean conscience. Except at night, when different shipments leave different ports for different customers. Eduardo Viana, she whispered, showing me photographs. He's one of President Lula's advisors. He's been running a parallel operation through Traoré, selling weapons to destabilize the Sahel. I studied the man's face, corporate smile, expensive suit, the kind of person who orders death from behind a mahogany desk. Someone who's probably shaken your hand 100 times, Lula. But it gets worse. Sofia continued. Viano doesn't work alone. There's someone above him. Someone they call the glass man. I never saw his face, but I heard his voice on intercepted calls. American accent. Talks about Africa like it's a business opportunity. She showed me financial records. Uranium from Niger, my neighbor. Intercepted heading to Brazilian ports. Not for your nuclear program, Lula. For financing a war that keeps African governments weak and African resources cheap. Operation Twilight, Sofia said, her voice barely audible. Coordinated attacks on 3 Sahel governments. August 2025. They're going to use mercenaries and drone swarms to overthrow Mali, Niger, and... She looked directly at me. Burkina Faso. 3 months. They were giving themselves 3 months to eliminate me and install puppet governments across the Sahel. Why are you telling me this? I asked her. Because they killed my partner. She replied, tears finally breaking free. Joao was investigating the uranium shipments. They made it look like a car accident, but I know better. I know how they operate. That night, after Sophia disappeared into one of our safe houses, I called an emergency meeting with my cabinet. We had a choice: wait for death to come knocking, or take the fight to them. Contact Mali and Niger, I ordered. It's time to form the Sahel Shield. If they want war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. But first, I had another message to record. Because President Lula, your silence after my first warning cost 47 lives. Your silence after my second warning would cost thousands more. And I refused to let that happen. I found him in Cape Town, and he was exactly what I expected: expensive everything and dead eyes. June 2025, 1 month after Sophia's revelation. My hacker Aisha had traced financial transfers from the Atlantic Consortium to a private bank in South Africa. The glass man wasn't just a voice on intercepted calls anymore. He had a name, a face, and a weakness. Marcus Whitmore, former CIA, current arms dealer, permanent psychopath. President Traoré, he said when I confronted him in his penthouse office, city lights glittering behind him like fallen stars. I wondered when you'd show up. No fear, no surprise, just the cold calculation of a man who'd built his fortune on African suffering. You killed children in Gorom-Gorom, I said, keeping my voice steady. I fulfilled a contract, he replied, pouring himself whiskey like we were discussing the weather. Your government was destabilizing regional security. My clients needed that corrected. And who are your clients? He smiled, the kind of smile that belongs in nightmares. People who understand that Africa works best when Africans don't run it. Your little revolution in Burkina Faso is bad for business, son. The casual racism hit me like a physical blow, but I'd heard worse for better men. What shocked me was his next revelation. You think this is about President Lula? He laughed. Brazil is just a middleman. The real power sits in boardrooms in Houston and London. Mining companies, oil executives, defense contractors, people who've been managing African politics since before you were born. He walked to his window, gesturing at the city below. Every coup, every civil war, every famine, we don't cause them, we simply guide them. Keep the continent divided, keep the resources flowing, keep the profits growing. Operation Twilight, I said. Ah, Sophia told you about that. His tone turned appreciative. Brilliant woman. Shame we had to eliminate her partner. But yes, 3 coordinated strikes. Mali falls first, then Niger, then you. Clean, efficient, profitable. And if I refuse to play along, then you join your advisor and that investigative journalist from Sao Paulo who got too curious about Torstech shipments. He turned back to me, his eyes like winter. You're not the first African leader to think he could challenge the system, Ibrahim. You won't be the last to die trying. But Marcus Whitmore made one crucial mistake that night. He underestimated what happens when you threaten a man who has nothing left to lose. You're right about one thing, I told him as I prepared to leave. I'm not the first, but I am the first with nuclear weapons. His smile faltered for just a moment, long enough for me to see fear crack his perfect facade. Bluffing, he said. That uranium shipment you intercepted from Niger? It wasn't the only one. The Sahel Shield isn't just a military alliance, Marcus. It's a nuclear one. I left him standing there, probably calculating whether I was serious. The truth? I was deadly serious. Because sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to become scarier than he is. 2 weeks later, Sophia was found dead in her Cape Town safe house. Single gunshot, no witnesses. But her sacrifice wasn't in vain. She'd given me everything I needed to expose the network. Names, dates, bank accounts, communication intercepts. Enough evidence to bring down governments. Starting with the one that had been lying to me from the beginning. President Lula, this is my final message. After this, we speak only through actions. August 15th, 2025. Operation Twilight launches in 2 weeks. I know because I intercepted their communications. I know because Marcus Whitmore was careless with his encrypted phone. I know because dead advisors and murder journalists left enough evidence to fill a library. But most importantly, I know because someone in your administration just tried to have me killed. Yesterday morning, my motorcade was hit by a roadside bomb 20 kilometers outside Ouagadougou. Professional work, shaped charges, perfect timing, military-grade explosives. My driver died instantly. My bodyguard will never walk again. I survived because I wasn't in the car. I was in the decoy vehicle, driven by Musa, who'd received intelligence about the attack from an unexpected source, Eduardo Viano's own conscience. That's right, President Lula, your trusted advisor, sent me a warning, because even traitors sometimes grow tired of looking at themselves in the mirror. In his message, Viano confessed everything: the Atlantic Consortium's funding, the Brazilian government's willful blindness, his own role in facilitating weapons transfers, and most damning of all, direct orders from someone in your inner circle to neutralize the Burkina Faso problem permanently. So here we are, at the moment of truth. In 48 hours, I'm meeting with the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Chad. We're activating the Sahel Shield's nuclear protocol, not because we want to, but because the alternative is extinction. You have 48 hours to clean your house, President Lula. Arrest Eduardo Viana. Shut down Torresdeck. Expose the Atlantic Consortium's Brazilian connections. Show the world that Brazil stands with Africa, not against it. Or face the consequences. Because I've learned something in these months of hunting shadows and dodging bullets. Sometimes the only language power understands is power itself. The uranium we've been stockpiling isn't just for energy, President Lula. It's for survival. And if the West insists on treating Africa like their personal playground, perhaps it's time they remembered that playgrounds can burn. I don't want this war. I never wanted any of this. I wanted to build schools, not missiles. I wanted to feed children, not fight conspiracies. But you can't reason with people who profit from your death. So here's my ultimatum. Stand with the Sahel Shield as equals, or stand aside as we defend ourselves. The choice is yours, President Lula, but choose quickly, because in 48 hours, Operation Twilight begins. And if they strike first, the fire that follows will light up the entire Atlantic. I'm Ibrahim Traoré. I am 37 years old. I've survived 3 coup attempts, 2 assassination plots, and 1 international conspiracy. But I won't survive betraying my people. The clock is ticking, President Lula. Make your choice.